So that people watching my VODs are not bored to tears for the first like 2 minutes of the stream. So I'm gonna start off with let's see here. So I feel like this would probably be good to start with. I'm gonna talk about COVID. So Boston's current mayor is comparing vaccine passports to documentation required for slavery, and it's crazy. I'm on Yahoo News, but it's cool. Bear with me. Um, Acting Boston Mayor Kim Janey balked at the idea of mandating proof of COVID-19 vaccines in her city, comparing the idea to slavery policies. We know that these types of things are difficult to enforce when it comes to vaccines, the Democratic mayor said Tuesday after a reporter asked her about the vaccine passport mandate in New York City. There's a long history in this country of people needing to show their papers, whether we're talking about this from the standpoint of, as a way to after, during slavery, post-slavery, as recent as, what the immigrant population has to go through, she continued. For example, Janey referenced a conspiracy surrounding former President Barack Obama's victory in the 2008 presidential election. Former President Donald Trump, among others, urged to see his birth certificate to prove his eligibility to win office. We've heard Trump with the birth certificate nonsense, Janey said. Here, we want to make sure that we are not doing anything that would further create a barrier for residents of Boston or disproportionately impact BIPOC communities, which is absolutely insane, right? Because black people, specifically blacks and Latinos, they are in the demographic for the least vaccinated people. They also happen to be among the hardest hit by the pandemic. So the difficulty in enforcing such an order extends to businesses requiring employees or customers to get vaccinated, Janey said. We want to make sure that we are giving every opportunity for folks to get vaccinated. When it comes to what businesses may choose to do, we know that those types of things are difficult to enforce when it comes to the vaccine, she said. So what she's saying is, hey, if you want to do that with your private business, go for it, but we're not doing it at the state level. This is Democrat, mind you. Janey, who assumed office after former Mayor Marty Walsh was chosen as President Joe Biden's Secretary of Labor, has been criticized over her comments by liberal activists and some of her Democratic colleagues. City Councilor Andrea Campbell, who is running to replace Janey, called her remarks dangerous and said comparisons to slavery or birtherism should not be made, which is, obviously. When we are combating a deadly virus and vaccine hesitancy, this kind of rhetoric is dangerous. Thank you, Wayne. Showing proof of vaccination is not slavery or birtherism. We're too close to give ground to COVID. Science is science. It's pretty simple. Vax up and mask up, she said. And it's at this point I have to reiterate that just like I saw a TikTok that said this, but I'm going to say it here. The reason why we're going back to masks is because, okay, so if you drive, you understand that wearing a seatbelt is not going to 100% protect you from dying in a car accident. Driving the speed limit is not going to 100% protect you from dying in a car accident, right? Stopping at red lights is not going to 100% protect you from dying in a car accident. However, you do all three of those things, not just because it's the law, but because it makes you a safe driver. And furthermore, the reason why it is because the law is because people are unwilling to do those things and need to be made to do those things, right? And you don't see people in the streets protesting seatbelt laws, right? It's just it's silly. City Councilor Michelle Wu, another mayoral candidate, said state and local leaders should be boosting confidence in the vaccines. Anyone in a position of leadership should be using that position to build trust in vaccines, which is absolutely the truth, but it doesn't matter. Boston has no current plans to follow New York's example in implementing a mandate, Janey said in a separate statement Tuesday. Earlier today, I pointed out several hurdles facing communities of color with lower vaccine rates, she said, which makes the fact that she acknowledges this, it makes her statements about vaccine passports even more irresponsible. But I'll continue. These hurdles should not be excuses, but we must consider our shared history as we work to ensure an equitable public health and economic recovery. Ridiculous. Notification about a lady running with a stick? No, I didn't get that notification. But, okay, so just so we're all on the same page about Boston here, and how silly and irresponsible these comments are, let me show you something else. Nearly 8,000 breakthrough COVID cases reported in Massachusetts. 100 have now died. This is actually from Boston's News. Nearly 8,000 fully vaccinated Massachusetts residents have now tested positive for COVID-19, and 100 of them have died, according to state data on breakthrough cases published Tuesday. Thank you for the stars. The Department of Public Health tracked a cumulative 7,737 confirmed COVID-19 infections among those fully vaccinated in the state as of July 31st, representing 0.18% of the immunized population. The 100 deaths out of nearly 4.3 million vaccinated residents represents a rate of just 0.002%. So I cannot stress enough how even if you get COVID with the vaccine, the likelihood that you will become seriously ill to the point of needing hospitalization or even dying is very low. Saturday's cumulative count reflects an increase of 1,364 breakthrough cases over July 24th. That accounts for a bit more than 30% of all new coronavirus cases confirmed in the state during that 1 week span. What's happening, Algal? What's up, Jenna? Oh, wow. That's crazy. Yeah. In San Francisco, yeah, that's nuts. Since the first residents became fully vaccinated in January, DPH has counted 395 immunized residents hospitalized with COVID-19 cases and 100 who died from the virus. Those numbers include 34 new breakthrough hospitalizations and 9 additional deaths among those fully vaccinated tracked in the past week. And you have the mayor of Boston telling you that the vaccine passport would be like slavery or requiring show your papers to show that you were freed. It's nuts. Oh, and I know that way more people are dying than we think. I mean, the fact that, okay, I was actually, I forget who I was having this conversation with. It might have been Fade, but, or no, it was with Brad when I was recording drums earlier. The fact that the numbers in terms of just infections are way underreported because there was COVID-19 in the United States in 2019, bro. There just was. It's, yeah, this shit is nuts. This shit is nuts. And so here we have this silly shit too. Apparently, the Arkansas governor regrets signing a ban on mask mandates. Let's check this out. 38 minutes. No, absolutely not. I'm sorry. Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson said he regrets signing a law that blocked mask mandates as the state faces a surge in COVID-19 cases and a low vaccination rate. Imagine that. Thank you for the like. I'll check that out after this, Algal. Let me drag that over here. Okay. Well, I signed it at the time because our cases were at a very low point, Hutchinson, a Republican, told reporters at a news briefing on Tuesday, referring to the law he'd signed in April. That's bullshit. That is absolutely bullshit. I knew that it would be overridden by the legislature if I didn't sign it, and I'd already eliminated our statewide mask mandate. Everything has changed now, he added, and yes, in hindsight, I wish that had not become law. The governor now wants to amend the law to give schools the option to adopt their own mask requirements. Students under 12 years old are not yet eligible for the COVID-19 vaccines. The legislature was called back in session this week and is considering changes to the ban, but it may be difficult to build support for a change with the GOP majority, of course. With a highly contagious Delta variant now the dominant strain in the U.S., cases are on the rise everywhere. Arkansas has seen cases spiking with a new one-day record for hospitalizations earlier this week. Hutchinson is in the midst of a push to encourage residents to get vaccinated, combating what he called misinformation in a state where the vaccination rates are some of the lowest in the country. About 58% of the eligible U.S. population has been fully vaccinated against COVID-19, according to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. Only 42% of Arkansas's eligible population has been fully vaccinated, according to the State Department of Health. As cases rise, there has also been an increase in vaccinations, Hutchinson said in his news briefing. The state reported Tuesday that there have been 30,000 new doses administered over a 24-hour period, 25,000 of which were first shots, far and away the most in a 4-week period. Thank you, Arkansans, for doing more research, talking to your physicians, getting information, trusted sources, and making decisions that helps us all, Hutchinson said. So at least they're getting vaccinated. Hey, what's up? Thank you for the stars again, Sami. And on the note of more Republican idiocy when it comes to COVID, let's see what this dumbass Ron DeSantis had to say.
Here to discuss is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Governor, welcome to the show. We appreciate you joining us again.
Great to be with you, Dan, as always.
Thank you, sir. Governor, you've led the way on coronavirus sanity the entire time I live down here. I am a constituent of yours, a resident of Florida. What do you plan on doing?
The numbers
about these
are
new
jacked
mask
in
guidance
Florida.
edicts from the CDC? Is there any?
So just really quick while we're on the topic of more people dying than we think, Ron DeSantis literally had someone who was a whistleblower in Florida trying to say, hey, more people are being infected, more people are dying than the State Department is telling, or the Florida state is telling you. Had this person arrested, had their house raided by SWAT, and had them, this is just so silly. DeSantis is just racist, period, but I definitely believe everyone that can be vaccinated should be vaccinated. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the vaccine. COVID-19 itself is way more dangerous than the vaccine could ever possibly be. Even if you wanted to wait and see what happened, the vaccine's been out for like 4 months now. I've been vaccinated for over a month. Like, it's silly. People are being extremely silly about this vaccine, especially because, like I just read, people under 12 are not eligible to get vaccinated, and there are people that have compromised immune systems, so on and so forth. Like, when you don't get vaccinated, you're not just putting yourself in danger. You're putting other people around you in danger because there are people who can't get vaccinated, right? 97, something like, was it like 97% of the hospitalizations for COVID have been unvaccinated people? 99% of the deaths have been unvaccinated people. Like, it's just the fact that we still even need to have this conversation at this point is very frustrating to me. It's silly. That's the most polite way that I can put it, is that it's silly. There's no reason to be skeptical about the vaccine. I also saw another TikTok that was talking about tracking chips in the vaccine. The fact that the government does not know where their own active combat troops are, to the point where they almost mortar each other overseas in Afghanistan because the government can't keep track of its own active combat troops. The fact that you think that they would be able to put the technology that's used over there and make it micro-sized, small enough to fit through a syringe to inject you with it, to track you when you go to fucking Starbucks to get a low foam half shot latte, is absolutely fucking absurd to me. But let's continue.
Potential that we can have these mandates.
The vaccines are going to kill those dumb people enough to get jabbed. Oh yeah, I'm sure the vaccine's going to kill me, dude. I already feel myself dying by the second. I'm so stupid. I was so dumb to get vaccinated against a deadly virus that's killed over 500,000 people in the country. I feel so fucking stupid, dude. You have no idea how. Oh God. I'm dying. I'm dead now. Psych, shut the fuck up, dumbass.
Banned in Florida. I know you just had an executive order, but is there a legislative solution in Florida that's to ban the mandates, not ban masks, but to ban mandates?
Well, we've already done it. I signed a law in June that terminates all the local government's ability to impose restrictions or mandates on individuals or on businesses. So that is not happening in Florida, and it certainly will not happen by me or at the state level as well. Now, the one area where we didn't necessarily legislate was with the school districts. And so last school year, some school districts had mask policy, others didn't. Many of our private schools had mask optional, same with charter schools. Dan, the results were no different. There weren't really major outbreaks no matter what.
That's a lie. That is a straight up lie.
Every district in Florida had planned on doing optional for masks, and I think that's the right policy. The CDC comes in and says every single person in a school students, teachers, staff have to be masked at all times. That is not consistent with the evidence. That is not data driven. And so you started to see 1 or 2 school districts say, hey, we're going to follow that and impose masks. So I just signed an executive order which says under Florida's Parents' Bill of Rights, the parents should be the ones to decide whether they want their kid to wear a mask in school.
So
you
stupid,
believe in
dude.
that? If that makes you feel good and you want your kid, no one's stopping you, but that should not be imposed on everybody, and we got to give parents the choice. Dan, a lot of these kids suffered under wearing these masks. There's a lot of harms that come with it, and I think that we're basically empowering the parents to be able to recognize what's best for their kids. And I think in most instances, what's best for the kids from the parents' perspective is going to be go to school mask-free.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Governor. I should have been specific about schools in that question. You're absolutely, obviously accurate about what you have done to combat these destructive mandates. And you've seen, Governor, even in blue-leaning counties in Florida like Broward, where they're looking at these mask mandates again, you're seeing, Governor, a grassroots effort. And by the way, as you know very well, Governor, it's not just amongst Republicans, but amongst Democrats' parents, too, who are saying, listen, I just want my kid to have a normal school year. Governor, the mortality rate, according to an op-ed by Dr. Marty McCary, for kids who don't have comorbidities or diseases, the mortality rate from this virus is 0%.
That is false. That is fucking false.
Yeah, and I think, Dan, one of the dangers I feel with having mandatory masks at this point, given the statistics you cite, I think a lot of those bureaucratic authorities are going to say, hey, we mask for COVID. Flu is more dangerous for kids than COVID. Maybe they need to mask the kids every flu season, and then it just never ends. And I think if the CDC had its way, I think they'd probably have kids in masks indefinitely. And you're right, Dan, this is not a partisan issue. Parents have to deal with this in real time. Just like last summer, there was such a hysteria because Florida was going to go to school in person 5 days a week, and the media was raising a ruckus and some of these other people. But I'll tell you, parents across the board, they wanted the ability to send their kids to school. And I think it's the same thing this year with the masks. They want to be able to send their kid. They want their kid to be able to be normal. And the schools are really the perfect place to do it because they're one of the lowest risk environments we have for COVID. And the data on that is very clear.
You know, Governor, the irony here is that, one of the reasons you were elected originally was because of
These people are so
fucking
full of shit.
For school choice, and a lot of minority parents supported you, many of whom traditionally voted Democrat. I'm out. I live in Florida. I don't get out much, but when I do get out, people come up to me. They know I'm a Republican. They tell me, they say, listen, I'm a Democrat, but I think you guys are right on this. I think a lot of them believe this is a fear campaign. I mean, when you look at it, Governor, they're not using hospitalizations and deaths. They're using cases. Now, listen, it's good to know that, but candidly, it's almost a meaningless statistic if a lot of vaccinated people are showing up as cases, but many of them are in fact asymptomatic.
This the stupidest possible fucking
and I think that's the
argument.
thing. Like, I think the vaccines were sold that they'd prevent infections. I don't think.
No, they were
I think
not.
People have tested positive who are vaccinated. But I do think it has helped, particularly elderly people, guard against really severe outcomes, including death. And so what you have is
that much is true.
You have a lot of people who are vaccinated testing positive, but they have an incredibly mild illness. Well, why would we want to just shut down society because of that? And I think nationwide,
because children and immunocompromised people can't get vaccinated, you fucking jackass.
The entire pandemic. And I think that's a reason why. So, yes, fear doesn't work. I think people are sick of that. I think they see that people have an agenda and they constantly want to do it. And Dan, you and I both know there are certain people who never
I'm just going to leave
the
this up
hysteria
here for a
to
minute.
end for their own purposes, and we can't let them win. Florida's free. We pride ourselves on people being free to choose how they want to govern their affairs.
Governor DeSantis, thank you very much as a constituent and as a host of the show. Thanks for everything you're doing, trying to keep
100 deaths in a single day yesterday.
God bless you, man. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Why don't you do your job? Why don't you get this border secure? And until you do that, I don't want to hear a blip about COVID from you. Thank you.
Oh my God, dude, I swear to God, Republicans are the stupidest fucking people ever. Holy shit. It's like that Family Guy skit where she just says 9/11 and the crowd goes nuts. Like he literally just has to say, border. And then everybody's like, oh my God, dude. The fact that I don't understand how people can't see that this is just pure straight up distraction. Like, it hurts my brain. It literally hurts my brain, the degree to which people just are blatantly fucking racist. One of the only good ones? Yeah, Jesus Christ, dude. Oh my God. What up, Key? Yeah, don't go to Florida, Cherie. You probably shouldn't go there because you're gonna get COVID. That shit is nuts. In more apocalyptic news, apparently California's largest wildfire just exploded. Let's check this out.
The Dixie Fire has seen exponential growth in Northern California's Butte and Plumas counties over the past few days, scorching more than 270,000 acres as of August 4th, and only 35% contained. California's largest fire has been spreading since July 14th, resulting from a prolonged and severe statewide drought, high temperatures, and gusty winds that spark dry fuel loads. The cause is still under investigation. CAL FIRE reported that strong winds and the steep surrounding terrain made it difficult to contain the flames.
So that's fun. You got to talk to a firefighter today? That's nuts. Oh, he was incarcerated. Oh, wow. Yeah, the border wall I want to see get built should be the Florida border wall. Yeah, we should do regular drops and maybe like some like refugee missions to get some of the more sane people out of Florida. But everyone else, y'all can fucking stay there. Like, I saw another meme that was mad funny. It's like, yo, why would I argue with an anti-vaxxer when I could just wait? Wow. They gave him an iPhone. So, I'm going to talk. I got two more news pieces and then I'm going to go to the video games. I feel like this is important. I'm on Jacobin right now. This is very important. Hold on. Actually, you know what? Because I gotta give credit where credit is due too, because something very important happened. Paywall, naturally. Here we go. This shouldn't be paywalled. Okay. All right. So Cori Bush, for those of you who don't know, Cori Bush steers progressives to win on the eviction crisis. A new member of the liberal squad stepped to the forefront this week, leading a Capitol Steps sit-in that forced the White House to act. I'm not going to read all this, but basically, the eviction moratorium was about to expire, and the White House, and by extension, the entire Democratic Party apparatus, was about to let mad people get kicked out of their homes. Let me see if there's an actual number on here. Let me skim really quick. Maybe I actually will read some of this. Anyway, a shitload of people are about to get it was like an eviction apocalypse that was about to happen, right? Mad people are about to get evicted. What's up, Roxy? Right on, Sami. Bush has led a 1-1 protest on the Capitol steps for the last several days that forced the eviction crisis to the top of the nation's agenda, even after the House left town without taking action on the issue. Under intense pressure from the left, President Joe Biden on Tuesday afternoon announced a short-term fix to prevent millions of families from losing their homes, despite questioning the constitutionality of doing so. So, Joe Biden, Cory Bush is the real MVP, but Joe Biden was trying to pretend like he didn't know if he could constitutionally do this. The Democrats were clearly not pressed on this. They literally went on vacation as this was about to happen. And you might be wondering, gee, I wonder why they would do this. Why would all of that happen? Why would they allow millions of people to just get kicked out of their homes? Well, turns out Democrats took big real estate money and let the eviction ban expire. Imagine that. House Democrats super PAC took in $1 million from the chairman of a massive apartment rental company in June before letting the federal eviction moratorium expire over the weekend amid a COVID-19 pandemic that continues to surge. Last week, President Joe Biden's administration belatedly called on Democrats in Congress to pass legislation to extend the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's eviction ban only days before it was set to expire on July 31st, a full month after Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh wrote that the moratorium would have to be extended by legislation. The late request by Biden's press secretary, Jen Psaki, seemed to catch Democratic lawmakers off guard as they were getting ready to enjoy a long summer recess period. House Democrats tried to quickly pass legislation extending the moratorium by unanimous consent, a maneuver that Republicans blocked, because of course they did. Afterward, the House adjourned and lawmakers started streaming out of town. So Republicans did this for one of two reasons, probably both. Either because they also got kickbacks from these same real estate people and they just hate the working class, obviously, or they wanted this to happen on the Democrats' watch so they could turn around and say, look how badly the Democrats failed you. Look how badly the Democrats fucked up. They did this. This is what they did, right? But, yeah. That was nuts. Landlords are Republicans? Yes, this is true. Yep. I don't know why I said that like landlords aren't Republicans, but yeah. So, this last piece of news here is pretty nuts. And then I'm going to commence the gaming. So, I want to talk about the Pentagon shooting. Because a cop died, I guess, which is nuts. But a police officer died Tuesday after shots were fired outside the Pentagon building, according to 3 law enforcement sources. The Pentagon Force Protection Agency, which oversees the security of the Pentagon, confirmed the officer's death in a tweet late Tuesday, hours after reports first surfaced. The Pentagon Force Protection Agency mourns the tragic loss of a Pentagon police officer killed during this morning's incident at the Pentagon. Our thoughts and prayers are with the officer's family. Additional info on the officer will be forthcoming following full next-of-kin notification, it said. The exact circumstances of the shooting incident are still unclear, and Pentagon officials offered little clarity during a press briefing earlier Tuesday afternoon. Speaking to reporters, Pentagon Force Protection Agency Chief Woodrow Coos repeatedly declined to provide substantive details about what occurred and would not confirm or deny reports that an officer had died, citing an ongoing investigation. So that means there's probably some kind of lone wolf, fucking right-wing, fascist, white supremacist bullshit. This motherfucker ran down on the Pentagon because he was mad that Trump hasn't been reinstated to the White House yet, even though that has not, will not, and has never happened. And, I guess we'll find that out whenever they're ready to tell us, but thanks for watching, everyone. I appreciate you. I'm going to end the stream and start up another stream with the games. If you would like to watch me play some Splitgate with the homies, just refresh the stream. I'll be back in like 5 minutes. So, yeah. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Shout out to Sami. Thank you for the stars. Shout out to Jenna. Shout out to Algal. You guys are the truth. I appreciate you guys always coming in. Big fuck you to Steve on YouTube for talking about how people who got the vaccine are going to die because they were dumb enough to get jabbed and the vaccine is going to kill us. You are a fucking moron, and you will get COVID. That's just going to happen. Shout out to Bird. I fuck with you, my dude. Shout out to Cherie. Shout out to DC Metal Chris. Shout out to Key Brown. Follow Keyblade Warriors on Facebook. Shout out to my cousin Kuma. I love you, bro. And, yeah. Shout out to Roxy as well. Shout out to Fane Runner. And yeah, I'll see you guys in a minute. I'm going to end the stream now. I'm going to boot up that Splitgate, and we're going to get some more lols and some more quad feeds and some more. So what's that shit?